Alright, let's see if we can stream once again, and maybe we can. Not huge packet loss all of a sudden. So, see how this goes. Obviously, it's in the replay cast in the round of 64 for the Carnage and Caldavar Qualifiers. And just continuing to try to cover as many of these matches as possible. Hopefully I'll be able to get all the way through everything, and that's not unreasonable, especially because it seems like Honcast is taking all the Pro League stuff, so I don't have anything there. So might as well just hang out in this area and do some stuff with the lesser-known teams. Always fun. But we've got bands coming out here, so let's go right past the stupid introduction part and into the actual game. Chronos, Tempest, Rhapsody, and Ophelia being taken out here so far, as Chronos, obviously a pretty consistent band, no huge surprise there. Similar for Rhapsody, a very consistent support hero. Tempest, not a big surprise either. Ophelia, perhaps the most interesting one, as this is odd, but really not a hero we see a ton of. With the changes to the jungle, people I think are still trying to figure out exactly how she fits in the competitive scene. It's still a little difficult to determine, what her role is and how to play her, I think. So we might see a pickup more as she gets a little bit more prominent, a little bit more well-known, and we're like, okay, alright, this is how she's been changed, and this is how we can use her now. But for now, we've seen several games where she's gone pretty much all the way through both the bans and the picking phase, and either gets picked late or doesn't get picked or banned at all. So interesting that here, Laser Killing on the Hellborn side, choosing to take her out of the equation. First pick on the YLTP side is Master of Arms. You might also notice YLTP is a hero we've covered before, and that's because they're a pretty solid team. They did go to the Han Tour playoffs. They did pretty well in the Han Tour playoffs, and so perhaps the favorites here. Don't know too much about the Hellborn team, but that's part of the fun of these lower division matches. See some teams we haven't seen before. See some teams potentially with some promise, and we'll see how they do against YLTP, who is definitely a more established team and did pretty well in Han Tour Season 2. Bubbles in the second pick here, on top of Master of Arms, so some versatility. I think the name of the game here is for YLTP. Bubbles obviously can be played in all three lanes. Not a huge fan of him as a short laner, just because it doesn't feel like it's necessary. It's too defensive, and it's like, he can't really take advantage of the short lane. He doesn't carry late, and he doesn't need that tower, so why do that? Put him a suicide, put him an initiator, but perhaps short lane not so great. Master of Arms, though, certainly both a support and a carry hero. Very positive development there, considering he can obviously fill both those roles and doesn't give too much away in terms of your draft. Allows you to do a few other things, and so Majestics here off to a strong draft, I think, so far in terms of not letting the opposing team know what he's thinking. Laser Killing, though, mashing him really pick for pick with the DM and the Pyromancer pickups. Pyromancer, just like Master of Arms, typically seen as a support, can also be in a more farming role, and I do think that we don't see Pyro enough in that role. I think he can do a lot of damage, and it's not perhaps as much as other heroes, but for a bursty type hero, for something that he brings, he brings to the table a lot of carry heroes don't, and that's consistent magical burst damage. So we'll see what Pyro does here. I expect him to be a support, but could be anything. Drunken Master, that first pick, of course, very versatile, just like Bubbles, and perhaps even more so, as he does have some more late game potential than Bubbles does. And one of the winningest heroes really in these qualifiers too. I think he's at the top of the leaderboards for the winningest hero. So DM, a good pick up there for the Hellborn side. Kraken going to be the third pick for the Legion side, so the versatility theme continues. Once again, a hero that can be played in all three lanes. Don't really see him as a support, obviously, but the versatility that he adds to a lineup, is he going to be a suicide, is he going to be an initiator, and he put more of a solo farming role, hard carry type thing, who knows. At this point, I would suspect we'll see a suicide Bubbles and a mid Kraken. Jungle options are still available. Parasite's on the board, as is War Beast, Legionnaire, Keeper of the Forest, and Solstice, so plenty of ways in which the Hellborn, or the Legion side, can go for the attack in terms of the jungle, and put themselves maybe with a Master of Arms in the solo short lane. Not the solo short lane, but the babysit role. Although, yeah, he can be a farmer. He can be a solo short lane. Who knows? Parasite can be the third pick for the Hellborn, so obviously they're choosing to go jungle, and I presume that they will be looking to ban out some jungle heroes. The Legion side has not picked up a jungler. Dual supports against Parasite don't do typically well, but they don't do substantially worse than just general jungle lineups do against double supports. Jungles tend to beat the non-jungle lineups. I think it's about 55% of the time. And Parasite has a similar win rate against non-jungle lineups. Against fellow junglers, though, he's actually sub 500, so he's perhaps not a hero that you're looking to put against a jungle lineup, so I'd like to see YLTP pick up a jungler here to counteract the opposing team's Parasite. That would also allow them to move Kraken into a solo role, potentially in the middle lane. Could also be dual lane with Master of Arms, but I do like Kraken in that solo role. I think he does a lot to help a team out, and he doesn't really need to take the resources of the support to babysit him. That's much better done, I think, in the bottom lane with in terms of Master of Arms' positioning, and give him that solo, that short lane, have him babysit something, or have him be the farmer and pick up another babysit support, and that might actually be the better route. Empath and Torture are still on the board, 2 strong babysit supports, so we'll see what the Legion side chooses to do here, but they do have some options. You could obviously run Master in the middle, they could run him in the bottom, they could run him as a farmer, they could run him as a support. I'm still on the side of Bubbles is going to be a suicide, could be Kraken. But if Kraken is the suicide, Bubbles is the mid, and that means we're definitely going to be seeing a Master short. The question is just farmer or support. But Majestics actually bans Empath here. Not a fan of that. Mostly because, you know, Hellborn already have their support option in Pyromancer unless they choose to run him as a farmer, which is somewhat unlikely. So I don't see why you'd take on an Empath when the Hellborn have got a jungler and a support hero picked up. Presumably they're looking for 2 more farmer roles. And Empath never fits that description. Empath is a hard support hero, so a little odd. That is on top of their Bloodhunter ban, so a little interesting there as well. Bloodhunter not a hero we see too much, but I guess Majestic's feeling like he doesn't want to deal with it. I'm not really feeling like it'd be that big of a problem either for this Legion lineup. I mean, Bubbles could probably just deal with it with the take cover, although the silence could be a bit of a problem. Then again, there are more heroes that can pose issues for Bubbles, you know. So, I mean, like, if you're gonna ban out Bloodhunter for the silence, why not Emerald Warden or something like that? A little odd to me, but Legion's final ban is Pestilence, as again a hero we don't see banned all that often, but his take on the hero pool here, and obviously used to be a very high tier pick. No longer really the case, but certainly Majestic's feeling like that's not a hero he wants to deal with. Hellborn side, meanwhile, banning out Dr. Repulsor, Solstice, and Warbeast. Solstice and Warbeast obviously fitting that jungle role, so addressing some of the perhaps not as popular but potential jungle heroes, so that YLTP is more coerced into picking up a second support, and Puppet Master will be that. So this is definitely be a support Master of Arms at this point, unless they run the Puppet support, which is even less likely, I think. So we're going to look at a Puppet Master in the bottom lane, probably with a Master in Kraken, middle, Bubbles on top. So this is going to be the second support for the Kraken. It could be a second support for a tri-lane, or it's going to be a jungler. I hope it's a jungler. I'd like to see Keeper of the Forest here. I think he fits this lineup extremely well. They've got initiation already with Bubbles, Kraken, and Puppet, and then the team fight that Keeper would add to the team, plus the push potential that he brings would be very powerful, especially because Hellborn's anti-push isn't that great. Pyromancer does do some of that, so does Hag, but not hugely important, and it is going to be a CiC instead, so we'll see how they choose to run this. At this point, actually, I'd like to see an aggressive tri-lane. Master, Puppet, and CiC brings, you know, 1 immobilize, 1 stun, a slow, and 2 CC tools. Benzington actually gets all the way through the end, so I didn't even notice he was still available, but Legion lineup, not bad. I don't particularly like the dual supports against the Parasite, but we'll see how that works out for them. And Hellborn are doing okay as well. Actually, I think I like their lineup a little bit better. They're certainly more of a traditional, obvious type lineup. I think we're going to see DM in the middle, Benzington in the Suicide, Hag in the solo short, Pyromancer also mid, and Parasite in the jungle. So their lanes are somewhat predictable, but very, very strong. They have 3 stuns, they've got lots of magical burst damage, they've got strong physical damage, they've got late game, they've got excellent gank. Perhaps the only thing that they're really lacking is a bit of team fight. They are primarily single target damage heroes. Their push isn't particularly great, but they should be able to ride this to a pretty solid mid game, maybe even early late game victory if the play is there, and obviously that's a big if. So let's just hold off on calling them the winners quite yet, but I think I do like their draft a little bit better. Legion side here will in fact send the Bubbles Suicide. Master of Arms and Kraken are going to be headed middle, and on bottom it's going to be Puppet Master with the CiC, the babysitter. This is certainly predictable, and you'd think, okay, yeah, this makes the most sense. I just don't particularly like it. I think PM does need a babysitter, but CiC, as far as they go, I mean, Torture was still on the board. I don't see why you wouldn't pick up a over the CiC. Torture has a stun as opposed to CiC's immobilized. He's got better ability to zone a hero out. CiC's not super great at that. Her immobilized isn't the easiest thing to hit. She doesn't do very much damage. 48 to 50, just not that much. And she's going to be up against a Benzington here, and Benzington can be a serious problem for supports, especially if they're trying to zone, and CiC's going to be no different. With the Deceive, it'll be a little bit easier, I think, just because, you know, it's hard to kill something that can go invisible, but if she gets caught out in a bad position, then, you know, she could pretty easily die, and Benzington is a hero, is notorious for doing that sort of thing. Obviously, we go right through the pause with the auto skips. And just as importantly, Kraken is a hero that I don't feel like he needs a dual lane too much. And considering they are going up against a DM and Pyromancer definitely in the middle, and they pretty much know that, this isn't bad at all. Like, they can certainly dual lane this, and I understand why they are. I think it makes actually sense to do this over the tri-lane, considering the last pick of the Benzington, if they basically guarantee they're going to run a dual lane middle. At the same time, I'm just never really enamored of Kraken at a dual lane, because the charge doesn't seem to me like a particularly valuable skill as a dual laner. It's really hard to land, and having to have it set up with a stun hurts you a lot. You have to position yourself, which becomes a bit of an issue occasionally with, you know, trying to get as much damage out as possible. If you're wasting time positioning yourself, that's time that you could be putting in auto attacks, getting damage onto the opposing heroes, and it's not happening. So a lot of action likely to be coming up in this middle lane, and we'll see how both sides go. I do favor the Hellborn. I think they've got two more reliable stuns. They've got a little bit more burst damage in the Pyromancer and the Drunken Master, and they're a little less mana dependent, I think. Kraken easily going to run out of mana here because his abilities are just very, very costly, and that's going to be a bit of an issue as they try to put Harass down. Bottom lane, Benzington getting some lane control here, so he should be alright, as CiC is, you know, just not really able to box him out, and he's sitting here at least getting experience. He'll be able to get a few CS here and there, and he shouldn't have a very, very bad time here at all, especially because it's going to be very difficult to kill him. Immobilize goes down there, but he just doesn't care. The CC tools can be a bit of an issue, but he's probably tanky enough to survive them and then take the Joust away into a easy survive. Top lane, it's going to be Bubbles versus Hag, and this is a matchup we've seen a lot. Personally, I favor the Bubbles a little bit here. He's got a little more burst damage. He's got the silence to prevent Hag's blink. The wild card here is, of course, Parasite. If Parasite can come in here with something to lock down Bubbles for a little bit, they can easily get the kill just because Bubbles is damn squishy. And actually in the middle lane, we're going to see a jump here onto Kraken, getting pushed back in under the tower, but they're going to get the Pyromancer kill first. That's the Bloodlust. They're going to try to chrono this onto Kraken, but there's a nice immobilize from CiC, who is hasted. And they're actually going to try to finish up Drunken Master here, but that's probably not going to happen. Even though he's so slow, it's just, he's too tanky for it. So actually Pyromancer takes it, and now Parasite perhaps in some trouble. But he'll just be able to run on through immobilize hits, but he should be fine. So they get the Bloodlust there on the Pyromancer. And well set up. Pretty heavy dive, but certainly worth it. Anyway, so this top lane, I do favor Bubbles a little bit in the 1v1, but then again, you know, Hag has a short lane, and Hag can certainly beat Bubbles here, especially if she can consistently use the Haunt to get Bubbles' HP down. Sonar Scream, and yeah, that's the sort of thing. So Bubbles here now, just sitting on Tangos, has a health pot still. Actually, Haunt or Hag gonna look to do some stuff here. Nice take cover, but will force Bubbles all the way back out of lane as he is sitting on just one Tango, so he needs some regen as quickly as possible. Hag is out of regen, but she has more health and more mana. So, might be seeing a kill up there in favor of Hag. Let's take a look at the stats here. CS score goes to Puppet Master in the bottom lane at 21 and 8. And number 2 is Kraken here in mid at 17 and 4. So far the Legion side doing pretty well. They have a slight gold lead, a little bit farther down in experience. Obviously that having to do with the Parasite. in the woods, grabbing some extra CS that normally would go to not go to anybody because it's a second support role. Heavy control here from the Legion side as well, as CiC's going bottom, and both Master and Bubbles went top. Bubbles here does not have a bottle, but Kraken does, and was there a refresh, I guess? Up top, Shell Surf away, and Bubbles will be okay, so Majestic's there doing just fine. Trying to make sure he lives. He is 10-3, so 162 GPM, not bad for a suicide. Bensington only at 7-2, 133 GPM, so he's missed some CS, unfortunately. Once again, missing one there, so last hit's not working out super well for him. He is level 5, though, and Search is level 2, Puppet's also level 5, so he's doing fine on the levels, and that's really very important for Bensington as well. It's just making sure that you get enough levels, because his abilities are very, very powerful. So, once again, in the middle lane, Kraken slight advantage here at 25-4 compared to the 23-4 of Drunken Master, but mostly even. Obviously, the Bloodlust helping them out a little bit in terms of the GPM charts. Jump in here onto Master of Arms. They're going to try to land a Dragonfire. It's not going to work. Now they're going for the counter kill onto Pyromancer, who's a lot of trouble. So, missed the Dragonfire stun there, a bit of an issue, and just so much damage coming out from Legion. They're like, hello, you're dead. Bensington, though, trying to get this kill onto Master of Arms. Joust is not going to hit, so nice jukes there. And Master going to get pushed back in there. Drunken Master will be able to get the kill here, and he's going to be able to run away as well. Torrent coming out, not going to be able to follow it up, though. Regen Rune is popped, so he'll be alright. So they do end up trading 1-for-1 in supports as Soundlex falls. Had to commit a fair number of resources, and you know they've been missing some spells here on the Hellborn side. The Dragonfire, the Joust, and that's nearly cost them a kill. Definitely got them turned around on once. There's the charge shot onto Drunken Master, but he'll be okay. Dragonfire misses once again. Off to the side here, Bubbles is looking for a gank, not level 6, so no access to the kelp field. There's a stun, and you're going to be shell surfing here as well. That's going to be a pretty easy kill onto Drunken Master. They might try to turn this onto Pyro as well. And Kraken has his ultimate. There's the release of Kraken, gets dropped. Pyromancer's just totally screwed. Double tap! So 4-1 hero kill advantage here for the Legion side, and they're relatively even in experience, taking a slight gold lead as well. As I think one of the bigger issues is we haven't seen too much action from Parasite here. 243 gold per minute, so not farming badly really, but it'd be nice if he could get a little more active in terms of ganks, especially in this middle lane where they do have a couple of stuns to help him. And you know, the leech could be pretty much the difference between a kill or no kill, especially on those Master of Arms. Could also help Pyromancer land those Dragonfire stuns, which would be nice. And that's what's going to happen here. Skeleton King coming in here, along with Pyro, but of course the Ward of Sight there does spot them out, and it also spots that ward being placed, so they know exactly where Parasite is, and they know he's looking to set up a gank. As a result, playing quite passive here. Obviously, good decision. Up top, Bubble's going to fall to laser killing on that Wretched Hag. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, they do in fact get the kill onto Kraken, as there's a Skeleton King net, and Parasite going to come in there. Nice steal of the Master of Arms called. Nightfall coming in also onto Master of Arms, easy kill. So nice double tap there from Parasite. And just as I say, I think he needs to get more active. There he does. That evens things up at 4-4 hero kills. Slight gold lead now for the Hellborn side, and a pretty substantial experience advantage at 3,300. Pretty typical of what we see for jungle versus non-jungle, as the gold tends to be somewhat even, and the experience goes significantly in favor of the jungle lineup. And that's yet another reason why teams should either run junglers, or make sure that if they're not going to, the other team doesn't either. Because it really does give you a pretty substantial advantage. That Word of Sight, Word of Rev here, I don't think it's going to be in range of this Word of Sight, so they won't be able to counter that. And that's nicely placed from Master of Arms. Bubbles once again looking for a setup, still not level 6. So does not have the Kelp Field, but sounded like that Master of Arms is coming in once again. And they might have seen Bubbles there. He does hit 6, so he's got the Kelp Field. And it looks like I'm not sure there's going to be action here. Parasite is off to the side, so if Legion decide to initiate here, they could get turned around very quickly. And in fact, Hellborn, I think, probably have the advantage here. Charge misses, and that's going to be nothing. So, interesting aggressive charge there that really didn't do too much. Ward going to spot Parasite up here, as well as Bubbles. 10-minute room going to be hotly contested, and it will be grabbed by Parasite. So, a bit of an issue. Obviously, if it was taken by Wells, he might have been able to just steal it too. With that face hug. Nice counter ward there. Will both hit the ward of Sight and ward of Rev. Bottom lane, meanwhile, CiC going to get found by the Invis Parasite. Benson's perhaps looking for an opening, but they're not going to find one. Mid-tower is also quite low, so they could be looking for a tower kill here. They are going to put it in deny range. And I don't think they're going to be able to get a deny charge away, but nice lunge there from Drunken Master Nightfall onto Master of Arms. He's going to try to live with the Giant's Call, but he's got stealing immediately. Kelfield not going to do too much, locking everybody down, but there's Laser Kraken on top of Laser Killing, and Hag will fall. Pyromancer here looking to turn something around, but the puppet show goes onto him, and he's easily dead. Nighty going to get stunned back over here. Kraken trying to get away, will not succeed. Joust is there, a couple more auto attacks, and he's dead. So right now we're looking at a 2 for 2. Off to the side here, going to be a pretty easy kill onto Bensington as Bubbles' Shell Surf hits him, strings onto Parasite, but now he's sort of turning this around, and Puppet Master wants to get away because a couple more auto attacks and he's dead instead. Parasite will back off, Port coming in here, as that is Master of Arms. Ends up being a fight in favor of the Legion, I believe, as they killed 3 heroes, and Hellborn only took 2, but... And the tower died as well. I think that was actually killed. Yeah, so good fight there. And the Immobilize plus a charge shot on DM and a Fork Lightning. He does takes a lot of damage there. Top lane, Bubbles is hanging out here once again with Hag, and Parasite perhaps looking for something. Shellsurf actually went off, so he needs to be real careful about how he does this. On the other hand, Parasite's even more trouble because 3 are collapsing on him right here. He's going to get forced out of the Vulture Lord. Kraken looking for the opening, has no release of Kraken for 10 seconds, but that's going to be plenty with the Torrent and the charge. And Parasite will drop, so perhaps looking for a jump onto Bubbles, instead gets turned around, and 3 heroes for the Legion side will be over here. Bottom lane, Bensington is able to run away, so nothing initiation there. And we haven't talked too much about Nighty here on this Puppet Master. Obviously playing the carry role, only 350 gold per minute, so not having the greatest game in the world, but not badly. Not doing badly either. As Legion are looking to take over the Hellborn jungle a little bit. Do some resource control. A couple of ports up here, though, as Parasite and Pyromancer are hanging out, looking for something. Parasite will once again see Kraken, but with the DD, not super interested in initiating. Obviously, the face hug would steal that. I don't think it's up for much longer. 13 seconds. PK away, as actually Kraken has a PK, it's surprising. Bensington is hiding in the woods, trying not to be seen. Monty Python would be proud. And we're going to see DM off to the side as well, perhaps looking for a setup to kill the CiC. Puppet Master would be a lot more difficult, I think, to take out. They're sitting right next to each other. Woods, meanwhile, you're going to see Pyromancer caught by the kelp field. Dragonfire hits nothing, as once again he's in a lot of trouble. Parasite's here, but it's not going to be able to save him. Puts the ultimate down to the Bubbles, tries to get the counter kill, but nice DM. Knight steals it though, and that's going to be dead Bubbles. Ends up being 1-for-1. Nightfall off there on the side as Kraken's getting hit by it. He tries to charge away, takes the Joust though, and the Haunt, plus the pull back in. He's in a lot of trouble. Will also drop despite the release of Kraken. So that ends up being a 2-for-nothing, or 2-for-1, excuse me, as the support Pyro dies, but for the Bubbles and the Kraken, a very, very good turn of events for the Hellborn team. Being able to swap things around on their opponents, and well done. Bottom lane tower perhaps getting pressured a little bit more. CiC's still level 4, man. Just not doing particularly well here as Smithix. 120 gold per minute, certainly understandable. But the 95 experience really had a bit of an issue. She really needs level 6 as soon as possible to become threatening. And I think this is the issue that people have with CiC is she's such a powerful hero, but her laning phase is so terrible. She's just really not good at it. So if you can get her out of that, then she does extremely well, but not a great hero otherwise. And I think she's a ridiculously amazing hero if you can get her to the place where she can be. But I'm not sure if she's viable just because of how difficult it is to get her to where she does need to be. I mean, the laning phase is terrible, and she's so dependent on positioning, too. It's like, if you're not in the right area to take over the correct hero and also not get cancelled, you're kind of useless in fights. Stunner immobilized there onto DM. Will take the strings as well. Drops the untouchable, so he should be mostly okay here. He's going to try to turn the Toronto hero into Master, but he's definitely going to die. And that was not a great plan. Off the side here, Kraken going to jump onto Kensington. He's just dead. So, oops. Kensington just not particularly tanky right now, only 1,000 health. And his bot tower will die.
The Legion have destroyed a Hellborn tower.
Top tower being pressured a little bit too by Hag, but obviously not quite as low as that bottom tower was, and doesn't have nearly the pushing power of like 3 heroes. So. Not going to find it quite as easy. Secondary bot tower getting pressured a little bit too. Pyro trying to back it off, but obviously by herself, not particularly himself, I guess. Avatar's male, so not particularly interested in Biotic against Puppet. Kraken up here against Hag. Hag looking for a haunt, probably. But Kraken will charge her back in, drop at least a Kraken, but she gets the blink away, so she's going to be totally fine. And there's the Bat Blast as well. Kraken's probably not going to die here, so that's been an interesting decision. Yeah. And Hag just doesn't have the damage to take off Kraken at this point. He's got the Scene Boost, he's got the Stout Shield, a bit difficult. Oh, go. Parasite will find him, and there's the kill, so... Kelpfield? Yep, that'll stop the Parasite port. And he's going to try to back off Bubbles here. Should be able to do so, but the rest of the Legion side is looking to come in, and he's actually going the correct way because we had CiC coming in. And, okay. I guess Hag's just going to die there. Bubbles is going to get away here pretty easily. Puts the Codex down, but it doesn't matter. And yeah, he's fine. So, interesting decision making there from Hag. Choosing to basically die to Bubbles. I'm not sure why she thought that was a good plan, but it clearly wasn't. And Parasite obviously not able to get the counter kill. Only be able to stack 1 camp here as he went to early on the leech. Maybe not even 1. Yeah, he's going to stack neither of those camps. Oops. So Legion here at a 3,300 gold lead and just a 800 experience disadvantage. Not doing badly at all. As we said before, Kraken has picked up the portal key, so that's a pretty obvious initiation tool for him. Pretty large pickup. Bubbles not looking like he's going for the PK himself. Has 230 gold per minute, so could be getting it unless it's on the courier or something. No. Shroud for Knight EU, so that's a pretty big pickup as well. Has the helm already, so now will become a formidable gank presence. And Hellborn are going to have to watch out for that. They're going to have to notice that as quickly as possible too, because otherwise that could be a free kill. Master of Arms did pick up his Steam Boots, nice for him, and CiC has just the Striders. Looks like Kraken also going for the Bulwark. I like that decision. Obviously, the DM having massive physical damage, plus the Bulwark mitigating some of that with armor, is a pretty big deal. Kraken off to the side, has two heroes here. He could drop the release there. It doesn't actually hit anything though, so bit of an issue. Charge also misses. Pyromancer's still going to go down, but they're going to try to get a kill on Master Arms here. Hellfield gets a bunch of anger, and Master Arms should be next. Nope, in fact it is Night EU on the Pyromancer, Master, who dies so quickly. And Smithix drops as well, and we're going to see the death. Nice deny on the Master of Arms, but Hellborn are cleaning this up pretty hard here. Kraken trying to stand his ground, that's not going to be enough. Bubbles will take a joust stun, and he's probably going to die here as well as the Shell Syrup is down. Puts the song in the sea, not nearly enough. So Hellborn actually get the Genocide there, as the initiation from Legion was really not particularly good. They had Night EU jumping in off to the side, and he just got destroyed by the Parasite. Plus Kraken missing both his charge and his release to Kraken really meant that they probably shouldn't have taken that fight when they did. I think once Kraken missed the charge, it should have been like, instead of getting in here, get the hell out, use your portal key. He still hadn't taken damage, so he could have just PK'd out, and that probably would have been the better decision. Especially because Legion were the aggressors there, so it's not like they had to back off and let the Hellborn take a tower or something like that. They could have just backed off and not tried to push. Instead, the decision to try to get that kill did not pay off. And as a result, they have evened up the gold lead, and Hellborn now have a bit of an experience advantage here, 5K or something like that. So, YLTP in not the greatest position. And as we transition to the later stages of the game, you know, the late game's fairly even here, and might in fact favor the Hellborn side. I think Bensington is going to be more valuable here than Bubbles. Drunken and Kraken are pretty even, perhaps favoring the Drunken, and Puppet and Hag are pretty even, perhaps favoring the Puppet there. So it is a pretty even late game, it feels like. Hellborn might have the advantage, we'll see. Perhaps their big issue is going to be team fights, obviously with the release of Kraken, the Kelp Field, and the Master of Arms call. They're going to have some ability to do stuff in team fights, and Hellborn have mostly single target damage, except for really Hag and to some extent Pyromancer. Trying to counter this ward here. They got one hit off, but obviously they see the Legion side, and they don't want to get jump. Hellborn ends meanwhile. Hag going for that Grimoire power, 22 minutes in so far, and we should have it relatively soon. So, not the quickest Grimoire, only 315 gold per minute, but not the slowest either. Drunken Master has his Bulwark on top of a Mighty Blade, so probably a Shrunken Head there. And a solid pickup. I'm not sure actually if I would focus that here. It will prevent the CC from Puppet Master, which is really nice, and it will prevent a lot of Bubbles' damage, and add to some mobility there. But honestly, I might have gone for a more offensive item here, like a Shield Breaker, just because it seems like the Hellborn's damage at this point is not the greatest outside of the Parasite burst. They don't have too much sustained until Hag gets some items thanks to that Grimoire. And perhaps an earlier Shield Breaker could be more valuable, especially because the Legion side's magic damage isn't that impressive. A lot of it is physical damage from Kraken and Puppet Master, so a bit odd. Bensington go for an early Basher, and Swindle's talked about this like it's a really good item, and yeah, I guess so. First item though, don't think so. I wouldn't really mind a more utility-based item like a push book, especially because Pyromancer isn't going to get one anytime soon. They do have a Kraken on the Legion side, so that could be extremely valuable. Astrolabe also wouldn't hurt. Not really a typical Astrolabe carrier, but having one is very good, and there isn't really anybody else that's going to get it, I don't think. So, it looked like we might have an engagement here, as both sides are grouped up, but Hellborn in fact going to back off. Knowing that they don't want to pressure it that heavily. As we do have a relatively even game, really. I mean, the lineups are, like I said, relatively even as we transition more to the mid-late game. And the resources are quite even as well. Slight gold lead for the Legion, slight experience lead for the Hellborn. Legion's up 2-1 in towers, and they have taken that crucial middle tower, which is really good. They also do have more of a mid-game oriented lineup with Bubbles and Kraken. I feel like their late game certainly isn't bad, but perhaps a little bit better than, well, maybe even not better than Hellborn. I mean, Hag's a great mid-game, DM's a great mid-game, Parasite's a great mid-game. Parasite especially will fall off a little bit as his burst damage becomes less impressive. Maybe he is leveling the Codex as well. He isn't a creep, so I can't check, but I think that's the case. How about also working on a Shrunken Head? I think that makes a lot more sense for the Legion side, considering Parasite, Pyromancer, and Wretched Hag all have considerable amounts of burst damage. So, definitely a good decision there. Kraken has finished up that Bulwark. Likely we'll see a Demonic Breastplate relatively soon, and once again I like that because of the DM's presence. Obviously that's a pretty big issue, and of course it's just generally a really good item. I mean, having that in team fights is extremely valuable. Bubbles looking like he's going for the Storm Spirit. Not a bad item at all. We'll be able to help. He's going to get a bunch of damage tonight. Solid kill. Check if Parasite has been leveling up the Codex, but I'm sure he has, considering he should have much more items right now if he has them at 285 GPM. And then you see a jump here onto Hag, and she's just totally screwed. Gets the Dragonfire and a bunch of damage on the Puppet Master. They're going to try to turn this, and they will actually get it, but Pyromancer dies as well. They do get the kill on the Master of Arms. CiC to take over Parasite here, but that's not going to do too much, as she's also going to drop. Ends up being a 4 for 2 here in favor of Hellborn, and meanwhile off the side, Kraken will be able to pick off Benzington, but he's going to pay for that. Drops the release to Kraken here. Parasite gets caught in it, but DM should be able to get the last hit here. No, Kelpfield just saves him as Bubbles buys back. He didn't, sorry. He was dead. That was a 3 for 2. Ends up being a 3 for 3 because Bubbles died earlier. And they almost had the kill on Kraken. They did force the Kelpfield on Majestics, but not a bad fight there for Hellborn, really. Getting a bunch of good picks. Shrunken is finished there on Puppet Master, and that's going to be huge. Because, you know, both of these last 2 engagements where he's died, it's been the Parasite with the burst damage just wrecking him, and obviously Drunken Master's doing quite a lot as well. They're doing a pretty good job of focusing, but it's painful. Parasite is finishing or leveling up that Codex, as we just saw that Drunken Master has finished his Shrunken. Looks like Benzington also going for one. Arcana finished on Bubble, so he's going for a Hellflower, I think. Not a fan. I assume it's for the Hag. I understand why. Not a fan. I like the Storm Spirit, I think. I think the defensive ability to interrupt the Parasite burst to save somebody who gets caught out, really valuable, especially because the Hellborn side does have so much gank presence. And if you're going to go for something like that, I'd actually prefer the Portal Key as a more offensive item. Joust there onto Nightiu and the Adjusted Revelation drop. He puts the Shrunken Head up, but he might not be doing too well. Nightfall goes down despite the release of Kraken. Easy get out of there for Benzington. Puppet trying to get away. He will be successful. Hag trying to chase him down. That's not going to happen. Bat Blast hits on the Centinels. He might be the first to drop here as, yep, CiC takes over Hag, and they will finish off Majestics. Smithix also dies here on the CiC as she's trying to run away. It's not going to happen. And there goes Kraken. So that ends up being a 4 for nothing in favor of the Hellborn. And bit awkward. Release of Kraken was pretty much entirely countered by the Nightfall, which was kind of funny. And the Shrunken Head on Puppet Master definitely kept him alive. Like if it wasn't for that Shrunken, he would have been easily dead.
Oh no!
Bot tower gets sniped, not bad. And top tower is being pretty heavily pressured. We'll see a TP here to defend. So Hellborn here taking a 3.7k gold lead, 11k experience lead. And they're doing quite well against a YLTP team that we've seen a lot of, and this isn't like their number 2 roster. Like, you know, these are the top 4 players here are the guys we saw in Haunter Season 2. Fastnik, I don't know. I think he's new, but this is definitely a Diamond Division team. That's these guys here on Monster Dick Esports are taking on. And we'll see where YLTP can go from here. We see the Codex continue to be leveled up. It is level 5, so Parasite looking for another item. Wouldn't mind seeing a puzzle box. Portal key could also work really well. Although I feel like they have enough initiation with the Hag and the Benzington and their Drunken Master. So I'd kind of like to see the puzzle box just because it's one of those items that you have it chase down the Puppet Master and his Whiplash might accidentally kill the Mauler. And of course it gives you the True Vision, so his Shroud's going to be a lot less helpful. Bound Eye is picked up on Parasite, so that won't be nearly as big of an issue as it was before. Looks like Cersei's going for that Astrolabe, and it's going to take a while, so perhaps might want to focus some more farm on her to get that Astrolabe up quicker, because they're really going to need it in these team fights. That would be extremely helpful, especially against Parasite's Burst. Well, she's going to have to get it off relatively quickly because she won't have access to it if she takes something over, so in that sense, perhaps a little odd that you put it on Cersei, but hey. Is Master wearing flippers? Or sandals? Okay. I know like this is a water gun Master of Arms. It's actually pretty solid alt avatar, but he was wearing flippers. Kong will be scattered out here. They actually do catch Parasite offside with a kill field. He's going to try Portal Key, but it's their port, but it's not going to happen. Nice kill there, and they pick up a Bound Eye, so that's a pretty massive deal. They did drop 2 ultimates. I don't think the second one was necessary, but like, whatever. Release the Kraken, relatively short cooldown. By the time Parasite's alive, it'll be back up. More or less. And Hellborn still with an advantage, but that doesn't help. Top lane Benzington could be in some trouble here. Perhaps looking for the jump, but it's the support, so I don't think they're going to be able to do too much. And he didn't go for the Shrunken, actually. He went for the Ice Brand. I'm not sure I like that. See there, plus the Immobilize. We'll see if they can get anything off. Nope, Nightfall there onto Master of Arms. That was a bad decision, though, because Puppet Master is also here. He does joust away, and he'll be fine. Draws a couple of ports. And off to the side, Kraken here will actually catch a Pyromancer, so that sucks. That's a 5v4. As Parasite has ported in as well, so missing their support, but this Puppet Show on to Hag, and she's not going to be able to blink just in the animation. Face hug there onto Puppet Master, but he's just going to eat the damage and be totally fine. Gets turned on the Parasite.
The Legion
Shrunk ahead.
destroyed a Hellborn tower.
He did use his Codex, he didn't use his Leech. And that Shrunken Head obviously is just, that's such a big deal against the Parasite. Secondary tower up here getting heavily pressured, and it should also fall.
The Legion have destroyed a Hellborn
And
tower.
they're gonna keep pushing here with Hag still dead. She has buyback. Parasite does not, though.
Water shield!
Glyph finally goes off. Obviously, the anti-push here for the Hellborn side just not great. I got the Pyromancer, but she needs to get real close to be able to use it. Trying to. And this is going to be a top tower kill. Jump in. Kraken tries to get that, but it's not going to happen. Kelpfield on the Sue over here. Drunken Master looking to push him back in. Plus Firemancer ultimate. Kraken's in a lot of trouble. Drops to Lisa Kraken. Probably will still die here, as the last couple auto attacks will finish off. He does get the kill on Pyro with a torrent, though, so they end up getting the tower and the Pyro kill for Kraken, which is probably a solid trade here. Master Bomb's trying to get away from Wretched Hag, and probably will be okay considering the amount of team support the Legion has. So, Legion take a solid team fight. They get 3 kills, really. And then they turn that into 3 towers, another kill, in exchange for only the Kraken. So, all of a sudden, YLTP looking way better here. As they have taken a gold lead. Still down in experience a little bit, but the money's on their side. Master Arm's looking for something here, but they're going to find... They're going to be able to block this pull. Always nice. They won't be able to catch him, though, obviously. Solid agent steal as well. Okay, looks like Hellborn are finally take this middle tower down. It's 35 minutes into this game, and they still only had half damage in the middle tower, so this is a pretty easy tower kill, despite the glyph.
The Hellborn have destroyed a Legion tower.
And Legion are making sure they don't get any farther than that. Demonic Breastplate was finished by Kraken. He's also looking at a Shrunken Head, I think, as his next item, which is once again a very good decision. Astrolabe has been picked up by CiC. Bubbles has picked up his Portal Key as well, so goes the 1 Arcana, and then chooses to go PK in the middle of the Hellflower, which is definitely a good decision, I think. The initiation is already really strong for the Legion side, but PK makes way more sense than Bubbles than a Hellflower does at this point, just because if they can burst Hag down, they don't need a Hellflower, and they can definitely do that. PM here, saving up 4,700 gold, so we'll see what he goes for next. Savage Mace, always on there. Symbol of Rage is going to be the choice, I like that. As I have the same feeling. Actually, no, Parasite going to be a lot of trouble. We'll take the Immobilize, and he's just dead.
You're not going anywhere.
Legion Gang Squad running through there. Easy kill. Zen near unbottom, in fact, falls to Puppet Master, though. As there's the ultimate, and Drunken just going to get evaporated. I always like to see the symbols on relatively squishy heroes. Kelpfield there onto 2, Pyromancer and Wretched Hag. Pyro will take the stun, drops the Shrunken Head, but Pyro's in a lot of trouble. She will drop the Torrent, and Hag is going to be fine with the Blink. We're going to see a port in by Drunken Master, who's actually bought back. Bot Tower falls in favor of Puppet Master. Haunt goes down to Kraken. He's going to try to live, and will be okay with the ultimate from Master of Arms. Joust will be able to help out, and the kill for Master of Arms, and he's totally screwed. But Haste Ring will be picked up here by Kraken, so he'll be fine. Perhaps looking to turn this around. He's got support in Bubbles and Puppet Master here. Puppet Show goes down onto Hag, and she's just totally dead. Drunken Master trying to turn this. It's not going to happen, I don't think. There's too much damage for the Legion side. And Drunken needs to get out of here because he's going to die. Yeah, they're not focusing fire, though. I don't understand why they're... There we go. And there's a kill on Benson, too, so... Bit of a misplay there with 2 of them going for Drunken and then Puppet trying to kill the Bensington. And they finally were like, alright, let's kill the Drunken.
Legion have destroyed a Hellborn tower.
And they turned that into a couple of kills, so well done there, as YLTP is all of a sudden taking substantial control of this game. 11.5k gold, 5.5k experience, and they're going to get top racks here pretty easily, as Hag's dead for 20 seconds. Another buyback in Drunken Master. They're going to try to kill a Puppet Master here, and they will do so. So Nighty drops, and CiC going to be next item on the menu, as she has no mana to invis. She also dropped a Bound Die there. Kraken and Bubbles will be just fine. So nice fight back there from the Hellborn side. Cost them a couple of buybacks on Bensington and Drunken. But worth it to keep the racks alive and steal the Bound Die, getting a couple of kills, especially that valuable one in that Puppet Master. Kongor now looks like it might be the focus. Obviously Legion with no vision around here. And so they have no idea what's going on. Well, they might have some idea, but they can't really stop it anyway. unless Hellborn choose to back the hell out, which is what's happening. So, a bit interesting there. They probably could have finished that relatively easily. It's pretty clear Legion knew what was going on, though.
Go ahead. Step on it.
Not a great word. And they put a counter there, obviously figuring, hey, Hellborn have a bunch of T words down here. And now Legion gonna do some damage to Kongor, but obviously sitting right on top of Ward of Rev, so Hellborn know exactly what's going on here. And they're gonna have to get their buddies back over, as Benson and Hag are not nearby, and Legion are getting real low here. There's a Drunken Head dropped by Drunken Master, and he's going to jump right back in here. They're trying to get Nighty You bursted down, but he's taking a bunch of damage, and he's totally fine. Release Crack down to 3, and they're just killing everything. Parasite and Drunken Fall on top of Bessington. Lots of trouble as Hag dies with Pyro, and that's the game.
Massacre! Genocide!
So, okay. All of a sudden this game's over. I think Hellborn were probably getting to the point where, yeah, they might have been done anyway, but that Conqueror kill could have sealed the deal, because the Token of Life also on the Puppet Master would have been a pretty serious problem for the Hellborn to deal with. They probably would have gotten at least 2 sets of racks to that. So, well played to YLTP. They were not looking great for a lot of this game, and they really turned this around. And that goes to show you in the early game, I do still think that Hellborn's lineup was better, but the big if was execution, and it really just came down to superior execution by the Legion side, which isn't particularly surprising considering their experience. And that will do it for this game. Well played to YLTP, really well played to both sides. YLTP takes the game, and they move on to the round of 32.